All right, looking at number 13. Use the zero product property and factoring when necessary to solve for x. And then it also references our math notes box. Always having those copied in our notebooks is a great idea. But let's take a look. Zero product property, we have x plus 13 and x minus 7 equal to 0. So the zero product property says that if two things are multiplied and equal 0, one of them has to be 0. You can't multiply to 0 without something being 0. So what we do then in Algebra 2 is we say either x plus 13 equals 0 or x minus 7 equals 0. And then we just do our algebra problem of subtract the 13 over. So either x equals negative 13 or x equals 7. And take a look at the next one. Either 2x plus 13 equals 0 or 3x minus 7 equals 0. So we can subtract the 13, divide by the 2, so x equals negative 13 halves. Add the 7, divide by the 3, x equals 7/3. Good, we'll keep going. C is kind of leading us into D. It's very easy to see that you've got two things being multiplied here. But remember, when we just have an x in front, it's actually its own value. So either x equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. So we don't really have anything to solve when it's just the x equal to 0, and we add the 3 over, so x equals 3. So x equals 0 or 3. Now in D, we want to make it look like it looked in C. So we've got this x in common, so we can factor out the greatest common factor of x. When I take an x out of x squared, I'm left with x. When I take an x out of 5x, I'm left with 5. So now it's almost the same problem as C. So x equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0, which would mean x equals 5. And then in E, we're going to have to do some more factoring. X squared minus 2x minus 35. So we're going to do our box and diamond. To get our factors. So we do A times C on the top, so negative 35x squared. And then down here we put B, negative 2x. So we've got to find numbers that multiply to negative 35x squared and add to negative 2x. So factors of 35 are 5 and 7, and that's really about it. So if I have a negative 7 and a positive, those would multiply to negative 35x squared, and they would also add to negative 2x. And then we want to use our box to get our factors. So we've got x squared, we've got our minus 35, and then we should have a minus 7x and a plus 5x. So we can take an x out of here, coming this way, and then we can take a 5 out of the 5. Our greatest common factor would be 5 and the 5 and the 35. Then we can take an x out coming this way, and we could take a negative 7 out coming this way. So our factors would be x minus 7 and x plus 5. It's still equal to 0, and now it looks just like the first problems we were doing. So x minus 7 equals 0, x plus 5 equals 0. So x is going to equal 7, or x is going to equal negative 5. We'll do the same thing in F. So 3x squared plus 14x minus 5 equals 0. So we're going to do the same thing, our box, our cross, 14. Let's put the 14x here. And then our negative 15x squared here. Our factors of 15 would be 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. So it looks like if I put a positive 15x and a negative 1x, that would add to positive 14 and multiply to negative 15x squared. So let's go ahead and put that into our box. 3x squared and our minus 5. And then these guys go right here. And then we do our factoring. I can factor a 3x out coming this way. I can factor a negative 1 out coming this way. I can factor an x out, and it looks like a 5 here. So my factors are x plus 5, 3x minus 1, set them equal to 0, x plus 5 equals 0, 3x minus 1 equals 0. So x is going to equal negative 5, and x is going to equal 1/3. So practicing our box and cross, and then always using our zero product property. If two things are multiplied, if a times b equals 0, then either a equals 0 or b has to equal 0.